Europe is about to experience one of the biggest recessions in history. Civil unrest, war, starvation, and one of the biggest energy crises in history. The citizens of Europe and the United States are about to get a rude awakening. Things are about to get rough. Hello everybody, my name is Sanad and welcome to another episode of The Clever Millionaire. Before we get started, I would appreciate it if you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, check out the links in the description box below for some free crypto, some free stocks, and a great way to save some money on your car insurance. It is no secret, things will get a lot worse before they start improving. Some of the biggest economies in Europe, such as Germany, France, Italy, the UK, they'll be the ones hit the most. And since everything is intertwined and interconnected, the entire European continent is about to go into a deep winter. Just today, Germany released its bailout plan of 65 billion. This is to help people struggling with higher prices and energy costs. Germany has been spiraling into an energy crisis ever since Russia invaded Ukraine. And being one of the biggest economies in Europe, also one of the most dependent on Russian energy, Germany is one of the countries that is being hit the most. Unlike the Czech Republic, where over 70,000 people have gone out to the streets to protest high energy costs, the EU, the government, and NATO, Germany is pretty much trying to stay one step ahead to keep its citizens from rioting in the streets. Also, with inflation being at a 50-year high, a lot of European economies are suffering big time. Their currencies are collapsing. While the US dollar is gaining strength against the euro, against the British pound, and pretty much every other European currency, their currencies are losing value by the day. As you guys know, I'm originally from Bosnia and I follow the European currencies very close. As I make this video, one US dollar is 1.96 Bosnian marks, which is very high. Also, there's no end in sight for inflation, and a lot of European economies are continuing to raise interest rates. But as we get closer to winter, things are about to get a lot worse. Russia has officially suspended its gas supplies to Europe. This means all the European countries, they're about to have a very cold winter. The Nord Stream 1 pipeline, which runs under the Baltic Sea to Germany, has supplied about a third of gas exports from Russia to Europe, but was running at 20% capacity before the flows were halted for maintenance last week. And since they were halted, Russia decided not to turn them back on. So gas prices in Europe are about to hit all-time highs once again. And the everyday citizens are going to be the ones that will suffer the most. That is why I'm predicting the money printers in Europe are about to be turned on to maximum, and more bailouts are definitely in the works and on the way. But the halt of gas to Europe doesn't only affect the citizens, it also affects big business. Metal plants feeding Europe's factories face an existential crisis. A lot of these metal factories will be forced to shut down, and it takes millions and millions of dollars to get them back running. But if there's no gas from Russia, these factories will remain shut down, and this will cause a domino effect all over Europe. Once these factories start shutting down, people will lose jobs. Other smaller factories will have to shut down as well. As production drops, hundreds of European manufacturers that turn metal into parts for German cars such as BMW, Volkswagen, Mercedes, or French airplanes are left increasingly reliant on imports that could get costly. Some buyers are also trying to avoid metal from Russia, which is usually a big supplier to Europe. The industry says it urgently needs government support in order to survive. However, if there's no energy coming from Russia, these plants will not be able to operate. These big companies consume a lot of energy, and I think the governments will have to make a very tough decision. Either bail these companies out, provide them with all the energy that they need, or they're going to have to cut energy consumption elsewhere. And this normally falls on the citizens of that country. I wouldn't be surprised if there's energy outages all over Europe this winter. As it normally goes, the everyday citizens are going to be the ones to suffer the most. Eurozone collapse. Recession warning with the biggest financial crisis in its history. The Eurozone will collapse if the European Central Bank makes a crucial mistake in tackling surging inflation, with Europe possibly facing the biggest financial crisis of its history. The biggest contributor to the inflation in Europe right now is the cost of energy. And with no new energy coming from Russia, the cost will continue to go higher and higher. This is definitely a long-term problem. Europe has been addicted to Russian oil for a very, very long time. And now they are trying to kick that addiction. Literally, they're trying to go cold turkey. And they're trying to do it as fast as possible. As you can see from this map, a lot of European countries are heavily dependent on Russian gas supplies. For example, Lithuania, 100%, Estonia, Finland, Latvia, Bulgaria, Slovakia, Hungary, all over 80%. Also Slovenia, Austria, Poland, Turkey, the Czech Republic, Greece, Germany, Italy. They are all literally dependent on Russian gas. And Russia has stated multiple times that if the West does not lift sanctions, Russia will not be sending its gas to Europe. This means the energy crisis is here to stay. The less gas goes to Europe, the more Europe has to pay for gas from different places. And this means the price of energy will continue to rise. And this directly will affect inflation. So Europe is pretty much stuck in an endless loop of higher energy costs and even higher inflation. But Europe is facing other problems as well, such as drought. It is currently one of the biggest droughts in the last 500 years. That means grain production, food production, wheat, everything will be slowed down big time. Also, the Ukraine war that has no end in sight and fear of it spreading further into Moldova, the Balkan states, and the Baltics. Now you're probably thinking, those are European problems. How does that affect us here in the US? Well, it definitely does, and it definitely will. US and Europe are like brother and sister. They have major connections when it comes to military, when it comes to defense, when it comes to finances, culture, literally in every aspect, those two are connected. And best believe the United States will do everything in its power to keep Europe from collapsing. The US will provide bailouts, money, weapons, everything that Europe needs, the United States will provide. And it pretty much has to. They have a ton of military alliances, a ton of defensive alliances, economic alliances. Literally, one cannot survive without the other. That is why the United States has spent billions and billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine, Germany, Poland, the Baltic states in order to keep them afloat. That is why the United States cannot and will not let Europe collapse. If Europe falls, it will trigger a domino effect, and Russia, China, and other enemies of the West will take that opportunity to pretty much destroy the American empire. As we all know, the US literally runs the world right now. We have more military bases than any other country in the world. One of the strongest militaries to ever exist. If Europe collapses, the United States is next in line. That could mean civil war, that could mean civil unrest, that could mean the total collapse of the US dollar, of the US economy. So the US will do everything in its power to support Europe. Other countries are already planning the fall of the United States empire. BRICS, China, Russia, they are all planning on the collapse of Europe and the US. Just imagine if the US dollar is not the world reserve currency anymore. This will cause the US to collapse permanently. It will cause civil war. It will cause unrest. It will cause the US dollar to be worthless. Just think of Germany after World War II when people were pushing barrels full of German money that was completely worthless. So don't think if you're in the US, you're going to be okay. If Europe suffers, the US will suffer as well. Alright everybody, that concludes this video. If you enjoyed it, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your thoughts on the European energy crisis in the comment section below, and see you in the next video. Peace out.